Good morning, and thank you for coming to 1 Million Cups Susquehanna Valley. My name is Kendi Alvarez, and I'm the lead organizer. Do not feel like my starting needs to keep you from stopping to get the goodies that are in the back today. We have a special treat for everyone that's in person. We have treats from Tria Prima, and in addition to that, we have an assortment of their amazing teas. So feel free to get up, move around, and enjoy all of those as we go through the morning. Some announcements to start our day. In January, our 1 Million Cups will be in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And in February, we will be in Lewisburg at the Lewisburg Downtown Partnership. We would like to thank all of our sponsors for 1 Million Cups. They include the Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Development Center, the Columbia Montour Chamber of Commerce, MediaStead, and Mindset, and Mark Burke, who are giving us some extra high-tech things today. As always, our morning it consists of two presenters who will each have 6 minutes to present, and then 20 minutes for us to talk about some of the challenges that they're facing and helping them to navigate them. So to our two presenters, when you see me going like this, you've got about a minute left. When you see me go like this, you should close up, and then we'll go from there to some additional conversations. The way that this works is that our presenter is introduced by their speaker coach, and so I will ask Diane to come and introduce Gretchen, who will be our first speaker.
Good morning, everyone. So glad to be back with all of you. I am very pleased to welcome and introduce our first presenter today, Gretchen Jahnke. That is Jahnke. I found many pronunciations out there, but she has confirmed that it's more the German variation of it. Gretchen is a CFO consultant and small business financial strategist. Her company name is True Strategy, LLC. And today she's going to tell us how she takes financial data and turns it into powerful decision-making tools. So Gretchen, I welcome you to tell us more.
Turned on here. There you go.
All right. So if I advance, this will show up then?
It will.
All right. Let me start the timer so I don't have Kendi waving at me. Let's see how this works. Good morning. My name is Gretchen Jahnke with True Strategy CFO Consultants. I help small business owners increase their profits and secure a more stable and successful future for their business. So, speaking of the expertise I bring to the table, I'm a finance and budget professional. I have 15 years experience in budgeting, forecasting, financial analysis, business operations analysis, and continuous process improvement. Some of the industries that I have worked in, manufacturing, I worked for many years with Intel Corporation, where I will tell you I learned a great deal, not just the hard skills, but the soft skills. I have worked for engineering and construction management. I've worked in the federal government. I've worked for Department of Interior, Defense, and Transportation. And I've also very briefly had a small Latin food business in 2 of our farmers markets here. So what is a CFO consultant? So basically, in a nutshell, it's a financial strategist. So everybody knows that large corporations are going to have their full-time CFOs that work with the CEOs to help achieve the company's mission. Small businesses either can't afford or just don't need a full-time CFO, and that's what I do. I offer CFO services that are tailored to the needs of small businesses, so it's very different. I help identify waste, deploy cash efficiently, and find opportunities for greater expansion and production. So the great thing is that I can work they get great flexibility and customization. So each and every business is almost like boutique offerings. I work part-time, interim, or even just project basis. Someone's going through an expansion and they just need that help to get from phase A to phase B. I work virtually or in person. And just a quick note about what I don't do. I'm not an accountant, a CPA, or a financial advisor, because sometimes when you say finance, people kind of lump things together. So basically, finance begins where accounting ends. And so your accounting brings you from the past to a certain point. Strategic thinking is where finance takes over. And I'm not saying a CPA could not do this, but that's just generally not their business model. So it's to help the business owner get from where they are to where they want to be, finding those right strategies for them. So basically just saying your income statements are not enough. You're going to have all of this data. Data is not the hard part. What do you do with the data? It's the translation of the data that I offer. And finding these missing opportunities, you'd be surprised how many people can overlook that. So some common pain points, listen, as a small business owner, you know that the pain points can be endless sometimes. Revenue being too low, but also revenue being good and profitability being low. I've seen companies that have actually pretty healthy revenue and still problems paying their bills. Cash flow being inconsistent, inventory issues, not being able to afford employee benefits, and that's staffing and keeping good people and finding good people is very important to most businesses. So how I can help. So every client would start, well, first we'd start with a needs assessment. So a free consultation to determine compatibility. I may not be the professional for them and they might not be the client for me. After that, I go to the deep dive, and that's where I'm going to look at everything and I'm going to turn over all the rocks from the financials, and that's the obvious part, but the processes, the people, and the systems, and that's all under a workflow analysis. And in that is also risk assessments, where actually a lot of money can be lost and people are just not noticing that or understanding that. So I'm going to take all the information that I get from here, and then I'm going to interpret it and I'm going to offer recommendations. I'm going to work with the business owner to understand where they want to take their business. And together we're going to work to create a roadmap. And once the roadmap is in place, to maintain trajectory to the goals, you've got to keep monitoring your financials and monitoring the process and making sure you stay on the roadmap. Because if you start, let's say you're here and you want to get to your goals, you can just a small amount veer off course at the beginning and it doesn't look like much, but by the time you hit out into time, you have completely missed the mark. So who can I help? The industries that I do have experience in, and it's not limited to, but manufacturing, service industry, retail, and wholesale. Now, some of the characteristics, again, they're going to have their own accounting services because Gretchen doesn't do accounting. Revenues at a minimum of $200,000, and also a company that is growth-minded. And one of the biggest things for me is open to change. So why is that important? So I don't know if you can read that. This was one of my favorite demotivation posters. Tradition, just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. Now, I'm not trying to disparage the centuries-old tradition of the running of the bulls, but that's just to say that if you're not looking at your processes, they should be evaluated periodically. Even if it's just technology that gets updated, you can be leaving money on the table. You can be slowing down your efficiency and your production from that. So how the community can help? Making sure that I'm able to convey the services that I'm offering and the value that I can add, and understanding, would small business owners even be looking for services like mine, or are they just searching accountants and CPAs? How do they know that they even need my services? Marketing. I have a website. It's not the best. And again, it's messaging, just getting out my message in a clear and concise way. And finding beta clients. You know, what is the best way to approach people to find those initial beta clients as I'm ready to step out into my live business? So, thank you.
Is it possible to bring up your website?
You're challenging me.
I know, right?
You're like, let's see how.
Yeah, no, it's, I'll tell you, for any techie person, it's gonna look pretty bad. But this was just done by me, just
What's the
to
address?
TrueStrategyLLC.com.
Spelled
UE
TRUE
Strategy
Strategy
LLC
LLC.com.
And I guess how did you do it? Did you use a service or did you have someone do it for you?
No, I did this myself, and I used the service that I don't think a lot of people use, but I chose it because they had private email, and for me that was very important. Just because of the data that I'm working with, I wanted people to have security in sending information to me. So it was just the one pager, and I know it looks bad, so.
No. I think that it has a professional vibe to it.
So the three things you're asking of the 1 Million Cups community: why, the services,
Yes, how to
marketing, and
marketing and beta clients, how approaching, yeah. Yeah,
Hi, I'm Leslie Temple from Fulton Bank. Two things. I would recommend trying to get with small business bankers. Some people don't even know they have an issue with their business until they try to borrow money to buy a piece of equipment or a line of credit to expand. So they think everything's humming along, and then they go to the bank and the bank says, well, your cash flow is not what it needs to be to support. So if you can, and I'd be happy to introduce you to some small business bankers in my organization. And then if you can tell a story about a client that you helped and quantify what you did for them and how it helped them. And it helped them increase their revenue, it helped them improve their profit margin by this much. To be able to quantify, because I think that's really powerful for people to hear and say, well, I want to do that too.
okay, that's great, thank you.
Gretchen, I might challenge you to come up with your own one-liner, why you. So it
Okay.
might look something like, I exist to, blank, 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 blank,
Okay,
10 words or less. So in your own time, give that some thought. Why do you exist? And really narrow it down to 10 or fewer words.
thank you. Yes,
Do you have a vision and mission statement?
I do. Don't ask me to
Because you-
tell you right now, yeah, I do
Well,
have
but,
them, and,
I think to Diane's point, your messaging all comes out of that. I see a lot of businesses, small businesses especially, that don't have a good, concise mission and vision. And when I help companies do marketing strategy, that's where we start. Vision, mission, we define, get a good, solid definition of your target market, who they are, and I think the rest of your messaging flows from that. In terms of your website, you know, a lot of people think about design. Is it designed well? And I think that's a good, it has to have a certain look, but it's about the words you use, the messaging you use. And so in terms of what I see on your website, the first thing that would come to mind is having a statement or a question that speaks to the problem that you solve. And when you start there, that pulls people in, and you know, you're attracting the kind of people who have the problem that you solve to start with, and then the rest of the messaging walks them through the process to a call to action.
okay, thank you.
Can I ask one question? You said 200K to, what is the range, the full range? Where is your sweet spot?
I haven't put a cap on the top of it, and I really should, because right now it's just me. You know, I have my growth strategy to bring people on later, but at this moment, yes, you're right, I'll
I
have to.
think more importantly is the sweet spot. You know, who is your ideal client? and to narrow that down to say maybe between 200K and $1 million, and start there. The other question I would have is, do you have clients now?
No, I haven't started
Okay.
operations yet.
Okay.
And that's, wanting to work with beta clients first to get those examples to say, okay, here's what I actually did, and get referrals, because I know word of mouth in this type of industry, right? I'm not selling a product. So when you're selling yourself, you're selling your service, word of mouth is just like gold, so.
And Gretchen, we had a question online. So Jason?
Yeah, more of a comment than the question, but my recommendation in terms of marketing is for you to develop 5 to 7 distinct campaigns and launch those campaigns every 60 to 90 days. And the reason you space them out is that we know the magic is in the mix, but it's difficult if you do 5 things all at the same time to determine which ones generate results. So by staggering the start of each campaign, you're able to get a better assessment of what's working in terms of your marketing overall. The other comment I had is make sure that your website, I think you're right, you do want to kind of upgrade the website to make it look more professional, because the people who are hiring you are trusting you with potentially millions of dollars. So you need to have a website that meets that perception. But the other piece of that is to really make it about you. You are the product, more so than what you offer. It's about you and your experience. So I would focus your marketing around Gretchen and around how she can make a difference in your business and build those relationships that way, because there are an infinite number of consultants out there that all look very much the same. So those are my two comments in general.
Can I ask you a question then? By campaigns, could you give me examples of what that might look like?
Sure, absolutely. It really can be anything. We look at, for example, you're going to do a social media campaign potentially. You could do an advertising campaign where you're spending money on Google Ads to draw people to your website. It could be a campaign through the Chamber of Commerce, sending out invitations to a free webinar. So there can be any variety of advertising, marketing, or PR strategies. Another possibility is simply a public relations campaign by doing periodic news and sent to the local news sources. That's a little trickier because news is kind of an evolving market right now. We're going from newspapers to online, and there is a lot of turmoil in that industry. So I'm not pushing traditional PR as much as we used to.
Thank you.
Thanks for the plug, Jason. For the
Oh, yeah. I have a two-pronged question. So the first one is, ideally, what
kind of industry would you want to be targeting right now? I know you have a broad experience, but is there something specifically that you prefer to work with?
I think manufacturing. Like if you ask me what was my favorite, where I actually have fun, it's manufacturing because there's just so many processes in there, and the process improvement part. I mean, I love the financial, but the process improvement part is exciting. So, manufacturing.
So we should chat later. I work for the Innovative Manufacturers Center up in Williamsport. So we work with small and medium-sized manufacturers, so we need to talk. But then my other question was, where have you already started looking for beta clients?
Well, I have just made a list of just business owners that I have, worked with in the past. It's a short list, but I haven't reached out. I haven't made that step yet.
Can I ask why?
Honestly, I just kind of wanted to get this part done first, and it helped me, get more ducks in a row.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to think that I have to have all my ducks in a row. That's, that can keep me in a cycle of never moving forward. But no, I think I'm closer to that point. This felt like opening day. That's what this felt like. So.
Well, congratulations. One teeny tiny follow-up. And then when you talk about taking on beta clients, what are you kind of looking at as an initial client load? Like
with a beta client or just my general
like starting
client?
out with beta clients, you're looking to take on 2 to 3 clients at first, see how it goes?
It's exactly 2 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Hi. You said you work with other businesses or other individuals. So we'll hear about me and my education stuff in a second. But when I started out, the good advice I got was reach out to other people who I worked with to get some reference and Google reviews, even if they're not technically using what you did. Just, hey, I've worked with James before and he's done this in education. Just so that way the website has a person, and when you reach out to the first client, say, oh, I have this as a reference. Because like you said, and I'm in the same boat, as a service, I'm selling myself and trust.
Right.
And a lot early on, it's like, well, why should I trust you with my kid's education? And I can say, well, here are 4 other people who I've worked with before. Feel free to reach out to them. So if you have those, I think that would be really valuable.
Okay.
After
That is.
that word of mouth.
Yeah.
And display it on your website or
Correct.
other online sources of
Yeah.
your biz reviews.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know you've already connected with the Small Business Development Center, so awesome. 2 follow-ups from recent programs that we did, recent workshops. We did a series on developing the story of your brand. Next time you get together with us, with Amber on my team, circle back to that, how the story is a key building block for your marketing strategy. And then the other one on the website as well. Probably already talked to Amber about that. One thing that our program does is a website assessment. Goes through a great big checklist of, is it easy to navigate, what's the tone of the copy, as well as some of the under the hood analytics. Does it function well? And search engine optimization. So let's talk about that next time.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I will add, on the Chamber's behalf, something that we can do probably in consort with the Small Business Development Center is bring together a group of those business bankers and really talk about how to identify those clients so that as they're working with people, they know how to identify those people who would be your ideal client and to get you in front of them as an opportunity.
Okay. Yes, that would be fantastic.
Hey, Gretchen. I'm going to follow up on Len. You talked about the website and then combining what Steve was talking about in terms of story. I think, Len, you said that too. Anybody else that said that? I think one of the things that's really helped my business is recognizing that other people can sometimes tell our story better. Right? Sitting down with anybody in this room and telling them really what you want to do and having them spend some time with you, in your thinking, and then have them tell back what they think you do. because often, like, it's not as clear when we're immersed in it all day.
Yes.
Like what we do, because we'll say, oh, well, I offer this and this and this and this, and then somebody listens to it and goes, ugh, that's not what you do. You change lives, or so like, to Len's point, helping turn your financial data, so this point, right? So helping turn your financial data into a powerful decision-making tool. I think the real secret there is, yeah, you do that, but why? Like, so talk about the pitfalls, like, why would somebody want to do that? Would make people read that first thing and say, oh, that's me,
Okay.
right? So I think you took the great first step, which like most of us all do, is like we talk about what we do. So helping turn your financial data into powerful decision-making tools. Okay, why? Right, so what I want to look on here is saying, like, why would I want to do that? I want to grow my business, or you're a manufacturer who's stuck, or your manufacturer is dealing with workforce issues and financial supports that, right? I mean, like the real nature of why I read this and say, oh my gosh, I've got to talk to Gretchen.
Thank you.
Gretchen,
Yes.
can I ask, are you looking for more local clients?
Initially, I am. I know a lot of people who do, the CFO consulting. A lot of it's just completely virtual. I honestly prefer the face-to-face. I prefer to be able to go into someone's shop, into someone's business, and work with them that way. And then, sure, the follow-up meetings, maybe the monthly meetings on Zoom, it's a time issue, but just to actually be in there to really do these analyses, especially of the processes, definitely local.
Okay, thank you. Some of the thoughts I have probably are more for the virtual meetings. Some people do a white paper or a short ebook as a way to draw people in to maintain consistent interaction, or just to continue that communication. So if and when they're ready to work with somebody such as yourself, that you're top of mind, but that might be better suited in a more broad context in some ways. No, I mean, I still do it, but you can compound the effects if you're using the search engine optimization in the websites, perhaps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you so much.
And so now, as we're making the shift over, for those of you in the room, please help yourselves to some of those delicious treats in the back from Tria Prima. Oh my goodness, they're so good. The fruit with like the vegan, it's vegan and gluten-free. Everything's delicious. So make sure you pop back and get some of that. And then we'll have, yay, thank you so much. And then we'll have Len coming to introduce James. Come on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm gonna go get some tea.
All right. So I met James at the last 1MC presentation at SU. We've had a couple conversations, but I was able to learn quite a bit about James in a short period of time. James Tierney is an educator, improviser, and entrepreneur. He has many diverse passions that he's devoted to. For example, he's the co-owner and business manager of the Blue Brick Theater in Happy Valley, the home of the Happy Valley Improv in State College. And I hope to get out there to see some improv. My wife's a big fan of that, so we'll try and get out there and see some improv. James is working on growing Tierney Education. It's an education consulting firm that provides one-on-one coaching and tutoring for high school and college students. And that's what James is going to be talking about today. James also teaches a class in entrepreneurship at Susquehanna University. So please welcome James Tierney.
Well, put my timer as well, so that way I don't get waved off. So my name is James Tierney. Pronouns are he, him, and this is my 1MC presentation. I really enjoyed last month. Brought my class to the 1 Million Cups event that was on Susquehanna's campus. I teach an entrepreneurial mindset class, which is very much just come up with some ideas and validate and test. And I'll be teaching entrepreneurial finance and venture capital finance there at Susquehanna in the spring, which is a very fun class because I have an econ background. So I don't know how much about me I'll get into, but I have a wide range of passions, which is one of the pitfalls, I think, at time. So that's me, and that's today's date. So Tierney Education, the value prop that I've been working on, and this is ever evolving as all of us who are small business owners may realize, is providing one-on-one academic coaching and tutoring, helping students and parents feel in control of their higher education experience. And the superpowers that I believe I have to try and drive this value for parents, families, students, is a few of them. So the first thing I put up here, 15 years of experience in the higher ed classroom. I started out when I was an undergrad at Western New England College. I was a first generation college student. Like, I remember when I was in high school having no help trying to figure out where to go for undergrad. I didn't know if I should click the button on the website that said graduate or undergraduate, which, you know, if you're a first generation college student, like, I want to graduate. And then I find out that it's undergraduate versus graduate. And, you know, from that moment, I was like, I really am interested in education as a whole. I went to undergrad at Western New England College, which is in Springfield, Massachusetts, to be a math teacher. I wanted to be a math teacher in high school. Then I realized I didn't want to deal with parents. However, now it's exactly what I'm doing. So maybe it's come full circle. But after my experience there, I went out to UC Irvine, where I got my master's degree in economics. I was in a PhD program. From then on, I've been teaching in the macroeconomics classroom until I recently left. I was 7 years at Penn State, left Penn State to do more entrepreneurial stuff. I think I have good communication skills, mainly because I've been studying stand-up comedy and improvisational comedy since 2008-ish. I have a big passion for helping others and a lot of curiosity right now around the science of learning, psychology, the disservices that we do to a lot of students as they get into especially large universities on helping them learn how they actually learn and how our brains learn things rather than just pumping out a bunch of people who can use Excel. Like, how do you learn and how do you take in information and be able to analyze? I have a big willingness to fail, and that comes from the improv. I think that comes from moving across the country to go into a PhD program, not knowing what research was, and being comfortable with saying that's not me and just leaving when everyone in academia is like, no, you gotta stick it out, this is what it's like. And I'm like, well, I don't wanna sit in an office for 3 years and not see the sun and bang my head against some data. I don't wanna do that. And I have a lot of connections within the Penn State ecosystem when I was there. So I know a lot in the student disability resources offices, the student affairs. I have all this kind of network that I've built out over the past, better part of a decade there in State College. And this idea of this coaching thing was way before I ended up leaving Penn State. I've had this kind of coming up. And then I think coming out of the pandemic and starting my other business with improv really gave me this opportunity to go with it. So here are my personal struggles, and then also with the struggles with Tierney Education that I would love for some help, feedback, connections, whatever we can get. The first one is I have a very tough time saying no to new opportunities, and I've been really trying to be better with that, but it's not showing because I just picked up 2 new adjunct classes because Penn State Business School reached out and asked if I would teach an intro to entrepreneur class there, which is the same pay as Susquehanna, but not 75 miles away. So it ends up being a good business decision, but I still want to teach the finance class here. So, there's lots of pros and cons to that. Oh, I keep moving. This is not a me thing to stand here. I would like to be out there, but I can't because there's exactly. You're just gonna keep moving it around. That's good. And so I'm also on 3 nonprofit boards in State College. I'm on the Arts Fest. If you've ever come out to the Arts Fest, I'm on that board. A new startup arts thing, which is called 3 Dots Downtown. I'm a big basketball fan. I'm on the Hoops Club basketball stuff. So all that stuff. With that is also putting up these boundaries with clients. So this last semester, I was really just charging $100 for a session with a student, for a coaching student. And then their parents would email me or they'd call me and all that stuff was just like included, which did not help with my time. And so I'm doing a lot better job, I think, of that coming up. And wow, that's a quick 6 minutes, but I'll be done soon. I need to just be better at time tracking. I've started time tracking before, I've always fallen off. It's a goal to do more of. Big struggle right now is just how do I get in front of the right eyeballs, and living with this fact that my services at this point are not, they're not affordable for a lot of low-income families. So I have some avenues I'm trying to fix that, but coming from a low-income family and a first-generation college student, one thing I liked about teaching at Penn State and in general is that my office hours were free. And if I believe that universities are trying to reach out to the right groups, right, low SES, then I was doing a service in that way. So I'm figuring out ways with that. And also to decide if, where, and when I want to grow this business. Because right now I'm really comfortable with this idea of an entrepreneur that isn't face down in one thing and I'm growing that. I have an improv theater that does fine. I have this company that does fine. I might even say great. And then I might adjunct a couple things and piece together the income that I need from my wife, my 2 dogs, and I to have a good life. And I'm okay with that, and I'm trying to figure out where that balance is. So, quick goals, and then quick how I can help, how I might need some help. I'd like to get up to 6 coaching clients. Currently have 4, so I'd like to grab 2 more for the spring, and I'd like to take on 2 econ because I still really love teaching econ. That's where I want to stop, because I know if I want to put goals and then be okay with saying no after that. I also want to build an online store to host some resources, some cheap resources, which I can show you if we get to. Start and grow subscriptions to a monthly newsletter to 100, my YouTube subscribers up to 25, so I can do a little bit of monetization with that, and just develop clear onboarding, invoicing processes. I've been doing that, and I keep iterating them, but I'd like to get it to a point where maybe within a year or 2, I could if someone calls me, says I need a tutor, and I have a contracted tutor, I might have an admin assistant who can then just take the rest of that. So I don't have to spend an hour figuring out invoicing, figuring out this, when I can be doing other stuff. So the main 4 needs, new ideas. How do I inform parents and students about what academic coaching is and what I provide? How do I provide value to those students who may be families that may be less fortunate, maybe at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale? What tasks should I keep doing myself? What should I contract out? But starting to do that a little bit. And if anyone has any introductions to families with maybe high school students that are willing to sit down and just chat about what fears and feelings you have about sending your child off, what are you willing to spend money on? I found families are very willing to spend money on making sure that their kid has a great first year, and may that be with having, a great gym membership and have a great laptop and all these subscriptions. And then when I talk about coaching or tutoring, they're like, well, we'll wait and see. And that's the tough thing about learning, is if it's 7 weeks into the semester, that's really hard to change habits with only 5 or 6 weeks left. So that's me. 9 minutes, I'm sorry. Way off. 50%. And then I started to talk fast, and that's what I do. And so I apologize for anything. I also wanted to say that I am a lifelong Mets fan. And so I've been suffering for a long time. And so I can feel with just like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think the question about what you should do versus offboarding, I think it's interesting to think about whether or not you see yourself growing from just doing more, right? Or do you like the business are you in the business to grow a business that's a tutoring business? And I think those two things are really different, right? Like, if you're really like take that consultative mindset means me doing 3 clients, 4 clients, 6 clients, 10 clients, and that's growth. But then that gets into your time, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is committing today to saying, I'm really trying to grow a business. And I know this sounds extreme, but if you're making that decision, it's almost like immediately saying, I need to build the tutoring systems that other people can do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So that essentially I can step out and I can grow the business. So I don't know if that helps you think about where you
No,
are.
it definitely does, and I have. So currently I have 5 undergraduate students that are contracted tutors that do classes that I can't, or have a much lower price point, so if individuals come in. And that is, again, I have to figure that out. I have to figure out where do I want to grow with that. Like, I don't know if I want to just be another tutoring company in State College, Pennsylvania, where I could step back and make money and then I'm just managing people. I don't know if I want that. Maybe. I think if I figured that out, it'd be a lot easier. So yeah, I get that for sure. Yes.
To your question of how to get in front of more eyes, who do you see as the actual client? So, for instance, I know you serve the students, but are the students
Correct.
the ones seeking you out, or are the parents who are paying the ones?
For academic coaching, it is parents. So parents are the actual are the client. That is the person who's writing the check or swiping the card. So I know where they are for Penn State, which is in the Penn State Parents Facebook group. And there's a Penn State Parents Facebook group. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with it, but it's a lot. And so one thing I'm going to try and do is when I reach out, because I currently have 4 coaching clients, I'm going to reach out to all 4 of them because it's the end of the semester and talk about ways they can help me grow the business. One of them is going to be, it's going to start with a Google review because that's a lot easier of an ask. And the second one's going to be like, well, if you're in any sort of parent groups anywhere and you'd like to give my landing page here, that would be greatly appreciated. Because I do believe what I'm doing is valuable, and you know, I told all the current clients I'm only taking on 6 for next semester. I told them this in like November, and all 4 of them said, well, we're signing back up. So I know that they are on my team. I just need to make sure they're on my team enough to put their neck out to say, hey, you should give this person $3,000 next semester. So yeah.
And Jason had.
Yeah.
Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, just 2 comments. One, let's circle into the how do I serve people who can't afford my services. And my thinking there is you either create a way of giving your information in mass, for example, having Zoom office hours and charging a different price point for that, and then including it for free with your one-on-one coaching. So kind of have 2 tiers. The other possibility is that you just don't serve them. And the harsh reality is that every business has to pick the level of people who can buy their services. My company is a web development company, and there are lots of great innovative artists and performers and individuals that simply can't afford the way we do things. And I'd love to be able to serve them all, I just can't. So my target is companies between X and Z in revenue, and I can't serve the individual entrepreneurs as well, simply because our price points are out. That's a hard one to swallow. And if you can't swallow it, then go to a multi-tier approach. I encourage you not to give things away for free because it reduces the perceived value of everything else. So even parents that can't afford your top level service, if you can give them a price point they can afford, you still need to charge them something for it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and that is a struggle, but and that's one of the reasons for growing the YouTube, because that is reaching a lot of individuals with content and also like small semester hacks. Also created an academic success planner, which is a 4-tab Google Sheets that helps students stay organized throughout the semester, and that's going to be my gatekeep to try and get more people onto the newsletter. And that's something that I'm hoping is given away for free, and then when people start using it, realize, wow, I could really use some consulting on this type of thing. But again, being able to create some resources that are available, and maybe it's just blog posts, and maybe it's just other types of things, but something that is creating value that helps me. But yeah, and I run into that with the improv theater too, because we want everyone who wants to take an improv class in State College to be able to, or to do our youth program. And that turns into trying to do some tiered stuff. Maybe we charge $250 a class for some families and $100 for others, and then start letting just people choose. And I found that that's actually worked pretty well in that space, where families will just self-select. Some will be willing to pay more because they see what we're doing in the community. So, yeah, appreciate that.
SEO is your friend as well.
Yeah.
That's
That is
something
something that I
to
have contracted.
spend some time to focus on, because that will you'll be able to have people find you outside of that Facebook parent group kind of environment. So that I would strongly recommend that some focus on search engine optimization.
Yeah, and that's something I have worked on over the past few months. Hiring a digital marketing consultant to like go through the website and like put some SEO stuff in. And we've ran a few experiments, and this is where we've kind of landed on that people aren't they're not swiping through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and like coming across an ad that says you need coaching or tutoring. Like that's not something that they're doing. It's not a small trinket. It's not a tie for Christmas. It's not, whatever. So like we did about a month of that and went like, wow, that's not paying off. And we've seen Google AdWords, like text ads, are a little better because people might be searching for my kid is struggling at Penn State or stuff like that. So trying to figure out the best digital marketing plan has been something I've been working on and thinking on. Yeah.
Are you doing A/B testing on any of that?
We started doing A/B testing on when we were doing Facebook and Instagram, and realized that the best option was C, which was to not do Facebook and Instagram marketing. And it also could have been that my monthly budget was only like $1,500, and like it maybe could have been a little more. Maybe we need to let it run longer. But really, the results we were seeing early on, and then just made sense talking through with this consultant, which is the main reason why I pay him, is because I'm by myself and I want someone who I can just bounce ideas off of. And we're like, yeah, like that doesn't make sense. Like psychologically, it doesn't make sense that someone is just gonna be scrolling through Facebook like, oh, I had no idea I needed this. Like that's not where we need to be. So yeah.
So one thing on free, free is good if you're using it to establish your authority and show that you understand the problem.
Right.
But free should be used to build your list.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you want to do this, it's not up yet because it's not. Well, actually, no, it's not up yet. I haven't released it. But if you just do /free-download on the URL, I think that'll bring it up.
And that builds your list, email list.
Free dash or hyphen, I guess, whatever, download. I think that's what I have it set at right now. It's not live yet. Well, it is live, but not.
It's not public.
Yeah. So I have this academic success planner that this is going to be what I'm going to give out. And so I have HubSpot integrated with this. So once they sign up for the newsletter, it'll auto send them. And if you click that, it should just anchor you down the website to there. It'll auto send them the link to the Google sheet that is shared. and then 3 days later, it'll send one that says, "Can I help you with anything?" And here's the link to set up a free schedule. Which I have fallen in love with HubSpot's integrations. With like, I don't know what they're gonna do in 8 months when my 1 year low price goes, because
They're gonna charge you a couple grand.
and I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't know if I can get it. Yeah. So that's the free thing that I'm giving away right now. But
But the goal is to attract interested
yes.
prospects that you can then do a longer marketing, closed marketing, direct
Correct.
conversation to continue to build your authority until you. So I have a couple quick comments
Please.
on some other things. One, have you explored Gumroad at all to sell products?
I have not, but it has been on a list of things to look
Okay,
into.
Because that might be a good way to start to attract some purchasers. The other thing I wanted to ask is, have you considered going away from or moving away from exchanging money for time and going to more of a value-based program where you deliver a full package at a certain price that would cover those consultations with the parents and all the extra stuff that you do?
Yeah. Oh, the website's gone. That's okay. No, it can be back. There you go. If you click on the bottom left, the button that says "Learn About Coaching" right there, the other left. Oh, that's good to know that didn't work.
Yeah, I was going to tell you there was
That's what I was demonstrating.
That was your demonstrating, yeah. I think it's because I moved things around and forgot to change the slugs. If you scroll down, there's I am this semester now going to packages for the whole semester. That's like you pay monthly, and maybe I should have it higher since unless people are reading. That'll be like if we meet once a week or if we meet 2 times a week, and what is it included. So I am thinking of going with that for the spring. And the good thing about teaching 3 adjunct classes, well, good and bad, is the base earnings that I want to have as an entrepreneur have now been like kind of guaranteed. So I can spend another semester figuring out what's this, what's that, and working on the story, because this website's way different than it was just 3 months ago, because going through and looking at it, I realized it was very transactional. And I can't be a transactional individual. I need to be here's the feelings, here's the emotions, here's why your investment in your child is worth it. You're already giving $40,000 to Pennsylvania State University. Like, you don't want to fail a class, and you have to repeat it, it's $2,500, even if you're in state. So like, how about I help that? Plus time, and it's a lot of stuff. So yeah.
Hi, James.
Hi.
Do you know the name Angelique Bacon Woodward?
I do now, but I don't know.
Woodward. Okay. So I served Penn State as well for 24 years, have many relationships there. And Angelique is somebody I would like to connect you with.
Yeah.
As you went through your presentation to everything you shared, every point, every struggle you're having, every question, and she's doing similar work today. She also retired from Penn State like myself. She's in the State College area. I am fully confident she could offer you so much insight.
Oh, I would love that.
To your questions, and she has a coaching practice herself, she could certainly guide you to finding that insight.
Yeah.
So,
The name
let's
does
talk
sound,
afterwards.
yes, let's definitely talk. The name does sound familiar. And I think maybe someone else might have said the exact same thing to me at one time. So this is good. It's a sign. It's a sign. Yes, for sure.
I need to ask you just real quick, do you know Corey Williams?
No, I don't think so. I might. I need to be
I
better.
think she just started some sort of small theater, community theater type thing, and yeah.
Yeah.
We can chat.
We can chat, for sure.
So I know that one of the things that you said was about that underserved population and, that can't necessarily afford. A lot of universities now are piping funding through various sources to be able to lift that success level. And so I think reaching out to whether it's academic, like dean level, or even, you know, to a provost, like that level of within the university, to start engaging in conversations about the services, because often they don't internally have enough staff or capacity where they'd be able to potentially be like, we're identifying students that we know need these services and we will subsidize it by having you outsource.
Yeah, that's a really good, and you were spot on that a lot of the resources that I offer provide value. The university is doing this for free for students, but they're underfunded, they're understaffed, and it takes forever to get in.
And they probably don't have the same
Intimacy.
Yes. And so, like, you know, you being able to go into a, you know, freshman class for, say, an honors college, you know, at Penn State that has some students who, you know, got in, but, you know, there's always a difference between the students who were from private school that had tutors and the students who are top performing from public schools, but, you know, the gap is still this between, you know, what they know and what they know about how to learn and how, so you can help to reduce that gap for them.
Yeah.
And being able to maybe do large scale programming, you know, like, you know, first year success programming, things like that, for that, which would front load you with some, that maybe then you have a few additional clients, but at the beginning of the semester or even pre-semester, you have an opportunity to really do a program that could be the equivalent of 3 clients.
Yeah. And another thing I have thought of is helping with that is very similar to what Jason was saying, only in person, doing small group life skills type stuff. My wife's a school psychologist in Mifflin County, so we talk a lot about small group work. How can that be beneficial? And I think it goes back to that last point of my, I have these paths that I know I can grow in, and I really need to decide what I want as an individual. Maybe that's us all as small business people. Is where do we want that to be?
Now, because it's not to say that you can't grow in all of those
exactly.
paths, but it's probably difficult to grow all of them all at once.
Right.
It's better to pick one and move it a mile than move a bunch of stuff an inch.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone out there in the metaverse. So again, follow-up announcements. We have January, second Wednesday, we will be in Bloomsburg. February, second Wednesday, we will be in Lewisburg. Special thank you to Tria Prima. Please make sure that you try all of the treats. I had one of the teas already. I'm going back for all of the others. They are absolutely delightful. Would you like to say a few words about? She's like, no. Come on up.
It's great stuff, try it.
Yeah, as a fellow entrepreneur, come on up. Yeah.
Former 1 million cups, so I felt for you guys, your nerves and everything else. But thanks for the opportunity. It's kind of crazy to think. I think it was almost 4 years ago, right, that I presented, and at the time I was presenting as an herbalist and for an herbal company and trying to put everything together. And at the end of my presentation said something about, but maybe there'll be a tea shop or an herb shop and I can bring my baking skills to everybody. And weirdly enough, in 6 months that all happened. And then 6 months before COVID, we opened and then we closed. And it's been a crazy ride of learning. So even when I was seeing what you all were saying about the weaknesses or places you have to go, I mean, it's never ending. It's just part of it, and sort of just remembering that, you know, your passion for what you're doing is really the key to everything. And so this has been a passion of mine as a person who has chronic food allergies and autoimmune disease. I had to learn how to bake without using all the delicious parts of everything that we think about when we do baking. And it was something that I always thought that I would just use for myself. Once I started to, organically kind of show up to people's houses with products and that I was making, everyone said, "Why don't you do this?" And no, I'm an herbalist. I'm just going to be an herbalist. And lo and behold, everything sort of shifted. And so it was really awesome to be able to bring together herbalism and food as a way to help people to heal. And so that's our goal, is to create products that bring people into health and wellness and balance without eliminating all the good fun stuff. So it's just a way for us to connect. And it's really great to be down here. We're in Williamsport. And at this point, COVID really put us behind the 8 ball in many different ways. And so we sort of had to just get into survival mode to be able to stay alive during that time period. And at this point, it's pretty exciting to be on the other side of that, to be able to start thinking about growth and change and what we're going to do into the future. And hopefully we can. Don't burn out. That would be my only advice to anybody coming into this, is take very good care of yourself. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
And then I will ask Steve to come up and help me present to both Gretchen and James our 1 million cups for, yeah, you come on up. And if you, oh, Mark, I was like, are you getting photos for the Soch?
I'm doing the video thing, so
Okay.
maybe you can grab them.
Thank you so much for being our presenters. I'm going to get the two of you together.
Oh, just us? Even better.
All right, if you want to, look that way.
Oh, sure.
I was like, hold your cups up a little bit.
Capturing the video.
Yeah, there we go. All right, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. And feel free to take some time, eat some snacks, drink some tea, network.
And see you next month.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. Happy New Year.
And thank you, Candy and Steve and Mark.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks, you three. Slap your stickers on things.
Nice to meet you.
See you.